Hi, I'm Brett Parker, multimedia specialist for National Provisioner and Independent Processor. And today we're talking to Dana Ehrlich, the CEO and founder of Verde Farms, a company that treats beef lovers to responsible and organic meats that provide plenty of benefits to both customers and the environment. Dana, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, Verde Farms is known for grass-fed meats, and I hear coming to BJ's just in time for Memorial Day, customers are going to be treated to not only 100% grass-fed burgers, but also 100% grass-fed steakhouse marinated steak tips, which all sounds amazing. And I was wondering if you could explain how much the grass-fed method benefits the final product and how it affects the taste.
The First of all, just thanks for having me today. And as the snow melts and the temperatures turn up, we start thinking about grilling outside. And we've been cooped up in our houses really for 2 years with COVID. And I think everyone's excited to get outside and start grilling. The great thing about beef in general is it's really about the social occasions and getting together with your friends and family. And what better than having steak tips and burgers on the grill to make that all possible. So, in terms of the grass-fed component, the mission for Verde is to bring great tasting meals to consumers using beef that's been raised on pasture that's better for the animals, the planet, and the land. And so there's a lot of different components to the entire supply chain that make the end product ultimately better. We've seen through studies like Anne Marie's Power of Meat that consumers are increasingly looking for better for you products like grass-fed and organic, and these products meet those types of requirements.
So on the Verde Farms website, there's a story you wrote that I'm very compelled by. So in 2005, you go down to South America, you try some meats that just absolutely blow your mind, just completely mesmerize your tongue. And you wonder, why can't we get meat this good back in the United States? But upon returning to the United States, you find that the meat system appeared broken to you. So I just want to know, what about it seemed broken to you? And how does your company's methods respond to that? What about your processing methods help fix those problems that are broken?
So I grew up on the North Shore of Boston in the suburbs, really knowing nothing about beef, just going to the supermarket and getting a good piece of meat in a styrofoam package that was wrapped up. And it wasn't until I lived in Argentina for a number of months where I started to eat grass-fed beef. And I personally was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis about 20 years ago. And I found that I could eat as much grass-fed beef as I wanted, and it would never bother my system. And then I went out to an estancia, which is a working bed and breakfast cattle ranch in the suburbs of Buenos Aires, and saw cattle out on the ranch and on the range. And I thought, this is interesting. But it wasn't really until I got back to the States that I started looking for both grass-fed beef, and organic beef was still pretty rare, 20 years ago, and started looking into the differences between the different supply chains. On our supply chains, which are predominantly organic and 100% grass-fed, all of the cattle are out on pasture for their entire lives. There's no antibiotics added, there's no added growth hormones, and the animals are really treated very differently than our US conventional system, where the calves are born and start out on pasture, but finished in feedlots, typically prophylactically fed antibiotics, treated with hormones, and really rushed to get as big as possible, as fast as possible, at the lowest possible price. So there's really a lot of differences in how the cattle are raised, and that also has impact on the flavor and the cooking methodologies and how humans respond to the products as well.
To check out more podcasts and videos, be sure to subscribe at the National Provisioner website at provisioneronline.com.